can't keep a good side is down.
What's going on, guys? Logan JORDI here. Before we get into this highly anticipated in-depth deck profile with the man, the myth, the legend, JORDI WANG, I have to encourage you all to check the links in the description, check out the site. I've only got 5 field centers left. If you want to get your hands on the last 5, be sure to check out link in the description down below, and check out the Grand Duelist, your central hub for all things Yu-Gi-Oh going forward, baby. It's gonna be hype. But not to keep you waiting, let's get into this deck profile. What's going on, everybody? DRYTRON, Logan JYA here with fellow DRYTRON, the man, the myth, the legend, you know him, you love him, JORDI WANG, who's back at it again. Can you believe it? In the year of our Lord and Savior 2023, this man is still topping with the greatest deck ever printed. That's right, DRYTRON is back, baby. So, JORDI, my friend, first and foremost, how are you doing today? How does it feel to be back in the competitive scene with one of our fan favorite strategies?
Well, as you know, DRYTRON, best deck, no doubt. Yeah, just doing great. Right now, if Kashyyyk gets hit on the ban list, I think DRYTRON has a really good chance at, the competitive scene.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Let's get those cash tiers out of here, that shifter out of here, maybe those nasty bestials too while we're at it. Now, before we dive into things, of course, I want to give you the opportunity for shout-outs and maybe a chance to let us know who you'd like to thank before we get into things.
Obviously, to everyone who supports me around the world, the Grand Duelist team, that we recently founded, my wife, my brother, just everyone. Thank you very much for the support.
Sounds great, and we'll talk more about the Grand Duelist Enterprise near the tail end, as well as the matchups that JORDI had to face on down to get to this amazing accomplishment. But my friend, over to you. Let's take a look at this list.
So, as you know, I've been playing more or less the same deck for quite a long time. For Rituals, 1 Draconid, 1 Armor Factor, 1 Natasha, and triple Benton.
And this is all we needed?
For the longest time, I've loved Armor Factor, and right now, with the new errata, it's no longer an activate effect, it's actually a condition. So you can activate the skip main under like Skill Drain, or just sort of any monster negation, which is really insane.
Agreed.
For monsters, I play Triple Alpha.
Oh yeah.
Triple Zeta, Triple Delta, Triple Gamma.
Okay, maxing out names.
Yeah. So basically for this event, right? And for a long time, that DRYTRON's biggest weakness is basically Shifter and Droll. Shifter is very unplayable, so you can only make Fuko pass. And with Droll, sometimes you can play with, for example, Mute Beta, and then try to dump a combo piece, and then try to make a play. But my biggest fear was actually cards like Eradicator and Anti-Stealth Fragrance, where if you draw too many spells, you don't play. It's basically auto lose when you go second. So for this event, I decided to cut down spells and then just maximize as many monsters as possible.
Understandable. Just try to, for those unwinnable situations that we can avoid, be prepared for them.
Yeah. And then I'm still playing with the triple Kurikara main. As I said before, this is a level 1, a fairy, and it also breaks boards. Against, for example, first round play against Kashyyyk, I basically tributed 4 monsters for a 6k beaters. No, sorry, 75k beater, and then just did Nova attack ODK.
Excellent. Yeah, right. Keep it as easy as possible.
Yeah, it was like straight up 2 summons, no Nibiru, just straight ODK, and it was insane.
Beautiful.
1 Lancia, 1 Diviner, Orange Light.
So I want to talk about the Lancia here, because this is a little a piece of debate right now amongst DRYTRON players. Is it worth it to play the Lancia? JORDI, yes or no, and why?
Okay, so for this event, right, my main focus were Kashyyyk, Rescue Ace, Pirelli, Unchained. And basically this stops, for example, Kashyyyk and Rescue Ace directly, because they cannot banish as cost or banish by effect, which is a big deal. And the second reason is, if I ever draw one of my Floodgates, then all I do is protect it through under Cosmic, Cyclone, or Evening Math. So I know that if I have these two, with one of my Floodgates, like almost no deck can pass through right now.
Right.
So that was the game plan. And
got it.
Throughout the entire event, I protected, for example, my Floodgates with this under especially Cosmic Cyclone, and it was actually insane. Like my opponent didn't expect it, and when they tried to clear the floodgate, they were like, "Oh fuck!" So it was insane.
Now, one Diviner was sufficient. You didn't wish to play any more.
Actually, I do. I was concerned. Okay. I should have played 2, I think, for this event, because Diviner is not just board breaker through Entis, but like searching the combo piece that you need, whether it's a ritual spell or armor factor or Benton, it matters a lot. So if I have to improve on the deck, Diviner is actually either a 2 or 3. I would actually consider playing 3. Then 2 spells, 2 Meteonis, 2 Fafnir. So I know a bunch of people hate this ratio or dislike it, but I played, for example, Runics, Kashtiras, and so many times, like one of my Meteonis got banished, and they thought I had no ritual plays. They were like super safe, and then I would try to make a Dragon, not Dragon, what they called, Armor Factor, and basically they're like shit.
Yeah, gotcha. But with the 2 field spell, let's see how many Nova you playing. We doing 2 or 3?
No, I'm always doing 3.
Got it. Okay, so the Fafnir, we're doing double duty here. It's either searching Unova or searching that second copy of Meteonis. And I can vibe with the second one. I've gone back and forth on it many a times, so I can definitely understand this ratio. Now, let's see. I want to see the full lineup of the spell cards, and then I'm going to offer some more questions in my assessment.
Alright. And then 3 emergency.
Yep.
MVP, 3 thrust.
Maxing it out. Okay.
Yep.
So let's slow down. No, let's slow down on thrust, because I definitely want to talk about this. One of the greatest board breaking strategies. Going second, and sometimes even going first when you hit Bestials. Obviously, it's insane. We'll talk about that more. So we're choosing to max out both the Novas and the Emergencies, and maybe you have these in at a later time. Are you playing any of those spicy Where Art Thou's or any other searchers for the names, or were you happy with what you had thus far?
No, this event I actually tried to cut down on the cards I search.
Okay.
So for example, so I don't play Prep, I don't play Where Art Thou.
True.
Yeah, so I actually play a little more board breaker and like sort of like a backup trap card.
Okay. Yep. Oh, right. Excellent. Well, let's keep on rocking. So we got the triple thrust.
And then we have 1 Talent, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Called By, 1 Herald of This.
So, Herald Weepus, I know you and I have talked about this in the past. We've talked about it in some videos on the channel. This is one of the freest outs to the big problematic boss monsters, whether it be a Rise Heart, whether it be that nasty Nor. You send it straight off where it needs to go.
Yeah, exactly. Against for example, against Rescue Ace, they actually made Appaloosa of 3. And so I bricked into this for like 2 turns, and the 3rd turn they made Appaloosa, and I was like, oh, thank God. And they go Herald of Abyss, and they're like, fuck.
Take care of that real quick.
Yeah.
Were there any thrust targets that you didn't play, but you wish you played?
Yeah. So assuming that there's no draw, I should have played 1 Terraforming, which I also cut, because it's the bridge to Meteonis through Fafnir.
Right.
For example, if you don't have access to the ritual spell, right? If you go thrust, Terraforming, Fafnir, then you get the ritual spell to make, for example, Natasha or Armor Factor, which is insane. But for this event, I wanted to try and minimize the risk of getting drooled. So I cut all 3, like Terraforming, Where Art Thou, Preparation. It backfired a little bit, but most of the time with this, I just resolve and set like, the trap that buys me 1 turn.
Gotcha. And let's take a look at those beauties.
And then Daruma, as always. This card is actually seen a lot more in the comparative YCS and regionals event. It's because it's almost like a win con against Link decks, and with the rise of Unchained, doing the Book of Mu and then getting rid of all the links is just insane, because you don't trigger anything.
So when is the right time? I was just gonna say, when's the right time to activate the Daruma Cannon against an Unchained player?
Normally I let them commit. So almost when I see, for example, if I have full knowledge of what's in their hand or field, they can OTK, right, or do a lot of damage or try to break a lot of boards.
Right.
But basically they don't have like a big card that can say, hey, I'll get rid of your back row and then make a big play and OTK. So normally when I see them commit enough cards, and I just go Daruma, and I just get rid of most of it. But
Great.
enough to make sure that they cannot kill me, and next time I just go Natasha steal instead of destroy. I steal and then just link away and then just, you know, OTK.
Perfect. And then the last card.
And then for the spice of the event, 3 DRYTRON B1 in main deck.
So what the heck is going on with this? As everyone knows, DRYTRONs are light machines, all of them. That's Moy Beta, that's Alpha, Zeta, Gamma, Delta, that's Draconids. And when you're looking at your fairies, you've got your Ben 10, you've got your Natasha, so there's a little bit of diversity there, but I'm gonna let Jordi explain what the heck we doing here.
Okay, so the concept between DRYTRON B1 is basically, am I able to make a play under a floodgate, which affects both players, right? When you play against something like Unchained or Pirelli, they basically have no out or very little, very precise out to this card, right? For example, Pirelli, their only out is using one of their level 1s, link into a, what they call Anima, which is spellcaster, and then link into Azalea. So when I draw this, basically I will prepare Herald of Orange Light with another fairy. And basically they have no out because they will try to make Azalea, I will negate Destroy, and for the rest of the game, most of them just scoop right there because they have no out. Their only out is try to Zeus, attack Zeus, and then try to wipe everything. But I'll always
getting that far.
Yeah, they're never getting that far because I will always have Link Rebo and Amorphactor on the field. So one is negated, and when they try to attack, the attack goes to 0. And it's literally infinite loop. And every turn, I just summon more monsters back.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when going second against, for example, this event I played Marincess, Rika, and Avalon, Dragon Link, and even going second, drawing into this, I clear, for example, the key card that could remove this card, and then I know that for the rest of the game, I don't have to worry. Like, they basically have a very, very hard time getting rid of this. And then every turn, I just start linking up, Natasha steal, link up again, OTK.
So we'll say that you're going second in, for example, a Dragon Link board. You are only focused on taking care of their answer to Tikaboo. Because after you set it and pass turn over to them, you flip that join up, and they are going to be stuck in one big sticky situation of which they can't easily escape.
Exactly.
Understood. Makes sense.
Hey, for example, one of my stream games against Dragon Link in finals, not this event, before. They had the full setup with, you know, the Bestial spell and the Bestial trap. I think it's called Beast.
Yes.
Branded Beast, I think it's called. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Which is so it's a pop, which is an out to this. So basically, I committed all my resource into linking into Azalea and then popping the back row because I know they cannot recover the trap. And from that moment on, I basically flip this and then I just sit by myself 5 turns. Even if I E-draw every turn, I just come back even bigger with more monsters. And I have way to play under this with main and extra deck.
Great, and we'll talk about that more as we get to it. Let's take a look at that extra.
For extra, play 1 Access Code, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Tinamundo, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, Azalea, which is super clutch all day. Ivy Masquerena and Link Rebo. So for this version of DRYTRON with Floodgates, you must play Link Rebo because this is a Cyberse that can reborn itself every turn. And basically, Masquerena, Link Rebo, and Amorphactor, these 3 keep looping around. Well, these cannot coexist, but I'm saying like normally, for example, I have 1 DRYTRON and 1 Fairy. I link into this, then revive another DRYTRON, and then so I can keep playing. They don't coexist, but normally I try to link into this and then come back, Amorphactor come back, and then protect it with this, and they have no out.
Now let me ask you this: I see we're doing access code, Talker, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I see you're playing access code, but I see no Link 3s. How are you normally making the access code to close out games? And did you ever find yourself short of enough damage without a Link 3 available?
No. So, for example, OTK happens less likely, but normally I link into this, which is generic Fiend. For example, this with a DRYTRON, whatever, right? And then in the middle of combat, I will do Natasha. So I will steal 1 enemy monster, and so it's going to be like Fairy, Dragon, and this, for example. And then I link into access code. And then I do another DRYTRON, and then steal another monster enemy, and then just enough for game.
Interesting. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Because
Do you think
Fiend, you know, Fiend, Fairy, and then one other type.
Got it. Do you think that there was any times where you wish you had been playing Boral Sword, or were you happy with the access code?
No, access code for the event actually worked a little better because I was able to get rid of a lot of, like, for example, set cards.
Right.
So for OTK, obviously a lot of times it's actually better to have Boral Sword. But for this event, it was actually fine.
Got it.
Yeah. And then for extra deck, one Zeus, Downer for the double shot, 2 Mu Beta, Beatrice, and Fuko. So Fuko was super clutch, buying 1 turn under Shifter or Droll. This card probably won't cut, as long as Droll exists in the meta, I think this card should always be a backup one in the deck. I
couldn't agree more. It guarantees life, unless you get Kaiju'd.
Luckily the entire deck didn't get Kaiju, and very low. I don't really think people side Kaijus against DRYTRON, because if we do Vanity Lock, they have a deck card.
They're cooked. They're cooked.
Yeah, and most of them, I don't play Vanity because right now there's so many Imperm, Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse, Talons. So for me, it's just a little too much risk to just try to sit on 1 tower.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And then the Herald targets.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, Jordy, let's round things out with that side.
The side is like full of spice. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Alright, well, this is not that much spice. Chaos Max, the reason is Ammo Factor is skill drain, right? Against Fusion, Synchro, Exceed. Which works against most of the deck and guarantees you don't get OTK'd. Chaos Max is mostly against the link decks, like Marin Says or Rescue Ace, and then you just do draw phase, lock, and then they basically skip turn. So this was super clutch.
Just the alternate win con for the things that Amor Factor wasn't the greatest against.
Exactly. And then for Bird Break, I played 3 Lava Golem. Love this card. Every time I drew this going second, I just feel like I'm going to win.
Right. Yeah, this is a Jordy staple.
Yeah, and so many times, I literally just Lava Golem, Nataja Steel back, and OTK.
Beautiful.
I just love this card. Yeah. Are you ready? The spice.
Oh yes, I'm ready.
3 deck lockdown.
Hold on, is this not just the spell card version of Droll?
No, much better. You cannot special from the main deck.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so basically, a lot of times when I go first, I side in 3. For 2 main reasons. One, nobody knows my build, right? And people don't usually know how DRYTRON works. I would set up a field. Doesn't have to be a big field. As long as you have Amor Factor and this, basically no one's playing. Pirelli literally cannot activate any single spell under this because they're all special from deck. So if they activate, they can never do the second part of the effect of specially summoning one of the cats. And then against Labyrinth, which is one of my matchups, I did a board, end on this, and they were like, shit. And then they scooped, showing me all their like welcome, big welcome, you know, all that. And they're like, oh, they couldn't do anything. So this card was insane.
Now, does it affect both players?
Yep. But usually you already commit and you have all the material like Alpha, Zeta, Gamma, and 1 or 2 rituals engraved. You have all the resources you need.
Fair enough.
For example, in my final game, I did Amor Factor, lock, pass turn. And then next turn, I would do another, what's it called, Mu Beta, and then revive Amor Factor again, and then I keep attacking. And they never have any card in the field, because they skip their main, they don't have anything, and they just set a monster and pass. So this card was super clutch. Yeah.
I have to give that a try. That is new to me. I haven't seen that card since the days of Evil Swarm, and that is a long, long time ago. I have to see if I can dig some out.
Yeah. Also, this is Ultra. It's like, I don't know, like €1 or like 50 cents.
Cheap as can be. Guys, get your hands on it now before Jordy causes a buyout. Calling it now.
Then 1 Duster, you know,
of course.
For Thrust target and also to clean back row.
Do you wish you might have played that in the main, or are you happy with it in the side?
No, side is fine.
Okay.
Like, we don't really suffer that much under Floodgates.
Fair.
And then the other spies, well, I used to play this as well, but right now I just feel like it's really great going second against all the Brandon and Chimera decks. They have no out. Like, their engine absolutely has no out, and their only way to getting rid of this is through, like, you know, spells or traps.
Right.
Super insane, super clutch. and I also side this in going first against Kashira.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, this card for me is just insane because we just link up Steel Monster, Link, and basically this doesn't affect us at all. And the coolest part is that before, when you're under this, you cannot activate Armor Factor, the skip main. But now since it's a condition, you do it under this anyways.
Ah, okay. There you go. Because it says you can't activate the effect, but since it doesn't activate, it doesn't matter.
Exactly, it's a condition now.
Got it. Love it.
And then Board Breaker 3 evenly match was super clutch all day against so many matchups. Yeah, and then last card, Dimensional Barrier for thrust target.
Excellent. And there's so many matchups that's good against Cook Branded, Cook Cash, Cook literally Cook anybody. Throw them over and open fire.
So long story short, like basically I played these two as the thrust target for a long time. Just, I don't know, at least a year. And I think this is starting to catch on now. These two are basically just amazing thrust targets for literally any match of the entire meta.
Right. You have your coverage captured in 2 cards. 2 cards is all it takes to get the dub.
Yep.
Punish your opponent for hand trapping you. No feeling greater. Yeah,
pretty much. So when we get Drolled or Shifter, we basically have a thrust as an answer, or we have Fuko. Right. And not everyone has a way to get rid of it. So overall, super happy with this deck. I think I can take it to a lot more competitive scenes. And I think these are like surprise factors that people just don't expect.
Now, Jordy, before we move on to the matchups and the shoutouts, I think you've mostly talked about the matchups already throughout the video. But I do want to ask, do you find yourself underprepared for going second? I see a lot of going first options here, and I know your logic on this. I just want you to say it for the audience here. What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, I feel really comfortable going first and second because this and DRYTRON B1 are both cards I side in going second.
Right.
Because this is a Mystic Mind against Chimera. And then DRYTRON B1 is just a board breaker against, for example, Rika's and Avalon, Dragon Links, any Cyber decks. Like, you just beat everything and then just set past that enemy draw base, flip it, and then they're done. The turn goes right back to you. And you have all the resources for next turn again.
Yeah, dude, honestly, you said it best. I know you've talked about this card at length back when Branded was a big threat and you were still doing the DRYTRON magic. So, heck yeah, guys. If you're listening, bring it on into that side deck. All right, Jordy. Let's close things out. Quick recapture of the matchups, and let's round things out with a talk about the Grand Duelists.
All right, so for the matchup, throughout the day, I played Kashira, Rescue Ace, Labyrinth, Rika's and Avalon, Dragon Link Bestial, Chimera Branded, Evil Twin Runic Sprite. Well, that was fun, because when they just did full combo and then all I had to do was Armor Factor, and then my opponent goes draw, standby, end phase. So
they do it for you. They FTK themselves.
Yeah. So Armor Factor for me, this event was just amazing, and I think that's all of them.
Excellent.
Yeah, right. Basically, super diverse meta, and we just have answer for everything.
True. When you build your deck like this, you do have an answer for everything. So this is giving me a lot of things I certainly plan on testing. Now, Jordy, to close things out, tell us a little bit more about the Grand Duelists.
All right. So Grand Duelists is our newly founded organization. We have several components. A big part is a team where we have world champions, national champions, Asia champions, a lot of top profile players around the world. And we plan to expand to have an elite team in every country. The second part is having amazing content creators and then giving them the resource they need to grow their channels, even if Konami directly doesn't help them. So Grand Duelists will do that part, helping people collaborate around the world. And the last part is Grand Duelist Series, which is the big tournament events. You can consider them as like a mini YCS, which we have trophies, exclusive playmats, both Yu-Gi-Oh related and just cloth playmats like Pyramid and Sleek Cheat. And we are focusing on the quality of the events through streaming, mini games of the event, bounty hunters, and also making tokens. These are aspects that I feel like a lot of the big events are forgetting or undervaluing, and we're trying to bring that back to the players.
Excellent. Well, everyone, if you want to learn more about the Grand Duelist yourself, I am more than happy and proud to be one of those few contributors joining on the content creation scene. A huge shout out to Jordi, who has been doing an infinite amount of work and preparation to get this enterprise underway. So everyone, go check out the link down below to check out and learn more about the Grand Duelist. Now, with that being said, Jordi, any closing thoughts?
Thank everyone, and hope we can take Grand Duelist to the top of the world and make literally the best events for all the Yu-Gi-Oh players. Excellent.
Well, with all that being said, I think Jordi said it best. Logan JYA signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you beautiful people later. Peace.
It is.